Hi everyone, Nicholas Papidis here from sunny Cyprus and welcome to today's tutorial. And today we're solving yet another past paper, the 2023 June paper 3-1. Now I've chosen this paper because it's very reflective on the style of questioning being asked in this new syllabus, the syllabus for 2023 until 2025. So if you're going to be taking the exam in the next couple of years, this is really useful for you. Now, in particular, this new syllabus has incorporated new skills, more detail on when it comes to creating charts in Excel, and a lot more programming in the HTML coding for web pages in the head section. So let's get started with this paper. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is we're only given one file, one Excel file, this one here. And if we look at the question paper, here we go. It basically says you've been supplied with the following source file, and that's it. You get no more. It says create a word process document. Make sure that your name, center number, and candidate number will appear on every page of this document. Save this document in your work area as that, followed by your center number, candidate number, for example, that. And you're going to use this evidence document during the examination. So let's get started with this very quickly. So I'm just going to create a new Word document. And I'm going to give it the name which I hopefully copied, which I didn't. So it's a J2331, evidence 2331, evidence in small underscore CY127 is our center number, and then underscore candidate number, I'll just use 1234. I'm going to open this quickly and just, it doesn't say whether I should put this in the header or footer, so I'm just going to put my details in the header. And that's going to appear on every page, and I'm going to do a quick save on that. So let's just snap out of that and click save. Okay, so let's go back to our question paper. Okay, now here's the important part. We're going to start looking at this spreadsheet that they've given us. Now, again, please read through carefully. Don't just start working straight away. Read through that whole section first. So you're going to create a spreadsheet to calculate and display weather data about 3 towns called Amata, Bingchen, and Chelmsford, if I pronounce that correctly. Now, open and examine this file here in your spreadsheet software. Save this as a spreadsheet with the file name weather underscore, followed by your center number, candidate number, for example, that, and then place in the footer left aligned the automated file name with no file with no file path, right aligned your name, center number, and candidate number. So I'm going to go do this first, and then what's really important here is it tells you to save the spreadsheet. So it tells you to examine this spreadsheet. And this, again, this is very reflective about these new papers. They don't just explain everything that's in there. They ask you to examine that paper. If you saw that paper 2-1, which I did for 2023, it told you to examine the CSV file, identify the column which will be the unique identifier, the primary key, by examining the data. So there's a lot more required from you. So let's go and do that now. So I'm over here. I'm going to open this spreadsheet here. Oh, I've actually renamed that part there anyway from before. So don't worry about it. That was for probably called J31weather.csv. I'm just going to open this. It is a CSV file still. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Save As, and just make sure this is an Excel workbook. That's the correct thing. Weather underscore CY127 underscore 1234 is my candidate number. I'm just going to click on save, so I've got an Excel file. I'm going to close that, make sure it's in here. There it is there. This one here, it should have been called J31weather.csv. So let me just take that back. J31 weather.csv. So that's what it should have looked like. Okay, so we open that and we rename it to this. Now we're going to examine this. Now it says it's to do with weather, and it's to do with 3 different countries or towns. Sorry, there they are: Amata, Bingchen, and Chelmsford. And so let's examine this data quickly. So I'm just going to expand. I'm going to select all of these, double click between 2 columns so I can see all the data. I'm going to reduce that one a little bit there. And let's have a look. So it's got here average hours of sunshine per month. This is for January and February for Amata, Big Chen, and Chelsea. And here we've got some other questions. Number of days with rain in Amata. So obviously we're going to be putting some numbers here. We're going to be doing some functions to calculate here and here. Let's go look at the data. So we've got here the town. And then we've got sunshine, rainfall, wind speed. Sunshine, rainfall, wind speed. Okay, so it's getting the sunshine, rainfall, and the wind speed for each country. Oh, sorry, each town. And we've got some measurements here. Great. And then we've got measurements per day. That's from January. And it goes all the way down to February. We've got March. No, so it's only these 2 months. And there's nothing distinguishing the months except the date. So the word January, we can see, is actually in that text. Okay, that makes a little bit of sense. Let's go to the question paper, see what we have to do. Okay, so first thing is to do the footer section. So let's go and do that. So first thing was, I'm going to go to view, just close that. And I'm going to go from view. I want to go to my page layout view. That's going to allow me to see the header section and the footer section at the bottom. I want left aligned, the automated file name. So this is in the footer. So I'm going to go down to the footer, left aligned, automated file name. So while I'm in the footer, I'm going to go to the header and footer ribbon at the top. And I'm just going to put in here the file name, not the file path. And then once right aligned, your name, center number, and candidate number. So here I'm going to put my name. Okay, great. And just click outside of that and go back to view and go back to normal. The view that I want. There we go. Okay, so next step is, if we just jump over here. Okay, so we want to format rows 1 to 17 of the spreadsheet to look like this. Okay. So 1 to 17, basically 1 to 17, that means from there onwards, and apply the formatting in rows 15 to 17. So that's all that there. So first of all, we want to pay special attention to things like, here we've got gray background, we've got slightly bigger font for the title. This is merged all the way up to column D. Then we've got italics. This is aligned to the right. These are bold, center aligned. Here we've got everything right aligned. These seem to be merged up to columns A, B, C. So A, B, C up to here. So these columns here are all merged up to there. And we've also got text wrapping, but these first 5 lines are not text wrapped. And then we go down to here, we get the same kind of title font as we do in row 1, as we do in row 13. And then in row 14, we've got this bigger height, okay, and we've got some text wrapping, and we've got all the units on the second line. So that's what we want to do. So I'm just going to jump over here and work on that now. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select this area here. I'm going to do this all in real time for those of you which are not familiar how to do some of these skills and techniques. If you are, then you can fast forward this, but I want to be complete and help even people that are going to be taking this exam and they're not very strong in Excel. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select that part there, go to the home section. I'm going to merge and center because that is merged. In fact, I'm going to bring this screen over here a bit. Okay, so with this screen here, let's start working. So we've got this. The first thing I'm going to, I just want to stretch that so I can see most of my ribbon there. So I'm going to go to the home, and from here, I'm going to go fill this in with a grayish color there. I'm going to make my text slightly bigger than everything else. So I'm just going to make that to around about 14. And then I'm going to make that bold and italic. It's kind of hard to find everything now, but doesn't matter. We'll make it work. Okay, and then let's just stretch that out a little bit there. All right, so this one here, January, this is kind of a bit more stretched out. It's up to the S of hours, so I'm going to bring that there. That's going to be right aligned. Amata, Bing Chen, and Chelsea, these are actually bold, and they are center aligned. Okay, they've got the same width. I'm just going to make the Amata goes up to around about where the H is. Sunshine, I'm just going to bring that out here as well. just to make these roughly the same size. That'll do. Okay, then that part looks okay. These are all got borders, so we'll put those borders there. So this first part up to row 4, that looks pretty much okay. Great. All right, so let's move down. So these ones here, these are all merged up to column C. I'm going to show you a little trick here. If we select all of these like this, and now from the merge, I'm just going to expand this. From the merge, I choose merge across. It's going to merge the lines across, each one separately. Okay, so without changing that style of alignment. So now with these selected, I can make all of these right aligned. I'm going to, with those selected, I'm going to go to the alignment tab. I'm going to say wrap text, click OK. And this last one here, I'm just going to make it double the height. And that looks okay. So we can see, now we can see here it's supposed to be wrapping after the number 5. So I'm just going to stretch this out just a little bit more. I'm going to stretch this out there. There we go. And that looks exactly the same. I'm going to select these ones here, give them borders. So the alignment is on the right. There's no bold or anything like that. So now I'm going to do these sections here. So we can see that Amata is and Bing Chen. So I'm using the control key here to do multiple selections. These are all, just expand that again, merged and centered. That's center aligned. And they've got the same kind of shading. So I'm going to do that as well. So the same shading, they are bold and they're slightly bigger. So these ones here are the same as what we've got in row 1. Oh, and we want them italic as well. So you need to pay attention to all of these little things because each one of these things is another mark. Okay, so we've got that. And then this last one here, this is going to be double the height. Let's do that. Double the height. We're going to select all of this. I'm going to, oh, not merge and center. I want to wrap these. So I want wrap text. Click OK. And there we go. And I want them center aligned. And we can see all of these now. They've got the units underneath. Now, let's say we had one that looked like this. Now, there's 2 ways we can do this. If I want to bring this brackets down onto the second line, so it's text wrap, I just make this the column a little bit narrower, and it will just kick it down for you. But if you want to have the width, and you want that to go to the next line, the trick is place your insertion point before there. Hold the Alt key on your keyboard down. Hold that down, and while you're holding that down, press Enter, and that will break the line. So irrespective of how wide this column is, that's always going to be text wrap there. Okay, so that's a little trick there for you. I'll just take that back. What else do we have here? Okay, so we want all of these in bold. And then everything else, all the way down to here, it wants borders. So I'm going to take my question paper out the way now and just expand this. So there we go. I think I'm just going to do a quick double check. That's in the center, that's in the center. I didn't put borders on these ones, so let's just add that there. I've got a 1 line distance here. Yep, that looks good. If I've forgotten anything, you can call me out on it. Just put it in the comments for everyone else to see. But if I have forgotten something, that's absolutely fine. If you spotted it, great. Okay, so that's the first part of the question paper. Let's jump over and see what we do next. Cells in rows 1 and 13 must be merged and center aligned with a okay, so I made my own font. Can you see I didn't read through carefully, did I? So aligned with a 16-point font as shown. So, all right, so this is 1 and 13. So let's just go back. So that's row 1. That should be 16. And so that one as well should be 16. And there we go. Go back. And the cells in the range of A6 to C11, A6 to C11 must be merged as shown. And we've done that. They're merged all the way up to column C, and they're right aligned. So we did do that. All right, next part. Print your spreadsheet showing the values. Make sure the page orientation is landscape. The contents of the cells are fully visible and can be easily read. The row and column headings are displayed. So let's see how we do that. So we can see here, I changed these to 16 and I changed these ones to 16. That's fine. So I'm going to, couple of ways you can do this. I like selecting what I want to print. So I'm going to click in that top left cell, hold the shift button and click in the bottom right cell. That selects my area. I'm going to go to File, Print. And although I've got this, you're going to choose the appropriate printer from here. So I'm going to make sure that I'm printing my selection. The next thing that I want is landscape. So it says it wants landscape. And the next thing I want to make sure that it fits all the columns on the page. And right now, I'm not sure if it does, but what we can do is I can go to no scaling and say fit all columns on one page. So it does fit them. That's absolutely fine. I've got 3 pages here. It didn't say anything about 2 or 3 pages, so that's fine. I can leave that as it is. So I'm going to click down here now on the page setup down here. And from here, I'm going to go to the sheet and I'm going to click on row and column headings. Click OK. And now we can see the row and column headings and they know that you've done this correctly because they can see exactly which cells have been formatted and how. So I will then just print. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to number 4. Places in cell B3 to D3 formulae to calculate for each town the average hours of sunshine for January, rounded to 1 decimal place. B3 to D3. So let's go here. So here's B3 to D3. So we want the average hours of sunshine. So if we look down here, we can see we've got the sunshine hours for Amata here, for Bing Chen here, for Chelmsford here, and that goes all the way down here, but it only wants January. So I only want up to this section here. So I only want this area here, and I want to do the average of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, now it's an average. Average if is not something which is part of the syllabus. So you could do it with an average if, but not required. I'm just going to start off with the basic average first to make sure it works. So I'm going to do equals to average, and I'm going to select now for Amata everything for January up to there. I'm going to close the brackets and press enter. So that's the average sunshine, but it now says that this has to be rounded to 1 decimal place. So I'm going to take this function which I've got, and I'm going to put in front of it the first round, open brackets. At the end of this value of the average, we're going to put a comma, and I'm going to say 1. And that's going to round to 1 decimal place. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this rounding option here. So if I press that now, we can see that's rounded to 1 decimal place. If I put the number 2, it's going to give me 2 decimal places. If I put the value 0, it's going to give me 0 decimal places. See that there? So it takes it up to 3, which is more than 2.5. If I click on the value -1, so we're going from positive to 0 to negative, now we're going to go to the units of 10 to 100 to 1,000. If I put -1, that's taking you up to the closest 10 units of 10. Now, because the value is 3, it goes down to 0. Okay? So if that value there was a 5 or a 6, that will be 10. And if I will put -2, it will take it to the closest 100. So if it's below 50, then it will go to 0. If it's above 50, it will go to the first 100 units, which will be 100. So I want you to practice that because you do have this question. You will find the question like that. So I'm going to take that back down to 1. I want the 1 decimal place. And now I'm going to do, oops, escape. I'm going to do the same for Bing Chen. So I'm not going to type this out again. I know it works. I'm going to copy this formula, Control C. I'm going to press escape and then paste that formula here. Now, obviously, that's going to give me the same value. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click in here, click here, and then click here. And I can see my range of cell here is in blue. So I'm just going to drag this range of cells now over for the sunshine of Bing Chen and press enter. Now I can do the same thing. Control C, copy that. I'm going to press escape to come out of the edit. Double click in Chelmsford. I'm going to press Control V and press enter. And again, when I click in here, And then in the formula bar, I can see the selection area. I'm just going to drag that selection area over here. Now you can type it out again and again. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't say anything about absolute or mixed references because you can't really copy downwards and have the selection move across. So that's just an easy way of doing it. So now I want to do for the months of February, and I can just copy paste this again because I want the average rainfall. Was it rainfall? No, sunshine, sorry, for January for these 3 towns. And now I want the average sunshine for February for the 3 towns. So I'm just going to copy that again. Control C, escape, and paste that in there. I'm just going to see where my range is now. So I'm going to click in this formula, click in the formula bar. Now this is my range for January. I'm just going to bring that down so it goes down all the way down to February. Make sure it starts at February. And that's where it starts on row number 46. Let's go down. Can you see we've got some extra here? I'm just going to move that up. So that's only for the range of February. Perfect. I'm going to press enter. And I'm going to do the same thing again in here. In fact, this time I'm going to take this one because my range has already been selected. Control C, escape, paste that in now, enter. Now I'm just going to click on this to go to formula bar, and I'm going to drag this over for sun. Now be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to select the wrong area. Just make sure that you're starting in February, ending in February. You're in the correct column, so that's sunshine. Press enter. I'm going to copy that one. Now again, if you want to be safe, you can do this again and again. That's fine. You've got plenty of time, but this is a video tutorial. I want to try and save as much time as possible. So this is going to be again rounded, the average for sunshine. And let's just click in here. There's my selection. I want this one for the last town. Make sure that's in February. Yes, it is on row number 49. Oops, I've cancelled that. Do that again. So, oh, it kept it. Okay, that's fine. So there you go, from row 49, and it goes, oh, can you see? I moved that down. So let's just move that up. That's the correct one. And I've got an extra one there. Oops. You see, you have to be very careful. Just double check everything. So I'm just going to double check these ones that I've done again. I'm going to click in here. You see, I did make a mess. So you probably spotted that while I was doing this. And this is why you have to be very, very careful. You're going to do shortcuts like this. Be very careful. Make sure you double check your work. So I'm just going to double check this one. Yep, that one's correct. Starts from 46. Escape. Check this one. This is for January. Yep. Okay, and let's just do the last one for argument's sake. There we go. Perfect. All right, so I've done that bit there. We can now go back to our question paper. Okay, I'm going to go to number 5 now. Now, number 5 says, place in cells D6 to D8 formula to calculate the total number of days that it rained in each of these 3 towns. D6 to D8. Okay, let's go over here. So the total number of days that it rained. So if we look here, it says for Amata, we can see rainfall. So this is the column for rainfall. And we can see here we've got some zeros here. So there you go. So the days, so the ones that we want to calculate the total number of days. So we want to count how many days it rained, because it's saying calculate the total number of days that it rained. I don't want to sum them, I just want to count them. And I only want to count the ones when it actually rains. So that one, and that one. So this is a count if. So, and this is for Amata. And it doesn't say for January, February, so this is all of them. So from here, I'm going to do equals to count if, open brackets. So my range of cells is going to be this one, all the way down to the bottom. And then my criteria, so I'm going to put a comma. So my criteria is going to be anything which is bigger than 0, as long as it's not 0. So because I need the logical symbol greater than, I need to put speech marks. So I'm going to put that, greater than 0, and then close the speech marks. And I need the speech marks because that greater than symbol is not a number, and anything that you use which is not a number has to be speech marks. So I'm just going to close the brackets there and press enter. Now I want to do the same for Bing Chen, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the same thing as I did before. I'm just going to copy that function, let's escape, put it in here for Bing Chen, and you can see straight away there's my selection here. I'm just going to grab that and drag that over for Bing Chen rainfall, make sure the selection is correct, and press enter. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing, there we go, and grab that and take that over to Chelmsford. So rainfall there, that selection is correct, and press enter. Okay, let's now go back to our question paper. So I've done number 5. In number 6, it says, place in cell D9 a formula to calculate the number of days with more than 7.5 millimeters of rain in a martyr. Okay, so again, it's to do with rain and more than 7.5. Okay, so that's another count if function. It's exactly the same thing, isn't it? So it's equals to count if. I'm going to open that up. Again, we want that same range of cells, rain in a martyr, and comma. My criteria is, again, it has to be with more than 7.5 mm. I've seen my students do something like this. So again, I'm going to do speech marks because I need the greater than, that one, 75, and speech marks. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Oh, hang on. Greater than 7.5. Bad. Just change that to 7.5. And okay, do not do this because the values is without the units. You only need the 7.5. You don't put the units as well. I know the question paper says more than 7.5 mm, but you don't need the units because these are numbers. We don't see the values mm in here. We know it's millimeters because it's in the title up here. Okay, so that's that one. Let's go to the next question. Place in cell D10 a formula to calculate the average wind speed in a martyr in January, rounded up to the nearest knot. So that's going to be, we need to round it up to the nearest whole number. Okay, we want to round up to the nearest whole number. And again, the word round up. So this time it's not a round, we're going to round up, and we want the average speed. So we want here equals to average, and average of wind speed in a martyr in January. So I only want January, so I want to be careful here. So wind speed is this one here, and I only want to select the range up to where January is. So that's up to there, no, there. Okay, let's do that. Close the brackets, press enter. Now I want to round this up. So can you see, I always do the function first, make sure it works, and then I work on rounding things up. So I'm going to click up here, and I'm going to put round up, open brackets. Now, what's important now is I'm rounding up. I don't want to round up to a decimal value. I want to round up to the whole number. So if I want to round up to a whole number, I'm going to put 0. Okay. If I wanted to round up to the first unit of tens, then I'll put 1, minus 1. If I wanted the nearest units of 100, then I'll put minus 2. If I want the first 2 decimal places, then I'll put a 2. So this is a whole number, so I'm going to put 0 and press enter. And there we go, that goes to 15. Let's see what that would look like if I put, let's say, a decimal value of 1. So you can see that's 14.9. So to the rounding up to the next whole knot or the whole unit, that's 15. So that is actually correct. We'll just take that back down to 0. And there we go. Okay, next question. Place in D11 a formula to calculate the number of days with a wind speed of less than 5 knots. Okay, so equals to count if, and I want the wind speed of a martyr, so it's going to be this one here. So we select that range of cells, back, comma, and I want it less than 5. So again, I've got that less than symbol. You see, if you don't pick up on this and you forget these little quotes, you practically lose more than 50% of your marks. Well, about 50% of the marks, because you can't do any of the functions. But you won't lose them. Still put your functions in, because when you show the formulas, the fact that you got count if, you got the correct range, and you got partially that the logic statement, the criteria you want, you will get some marks. So please don't leave it blank. Always put something there. Even if you know it's wrong, put something there. You might get a mark. So this is everything for January in a mile to wind speed less than 5. There we go. So now it says save your spreadsheet, print your spreadsheet showing the formula. Make sure that the row and column headings are displayed, the page orientation is landscape, the contents of all cells are fully visible and can be easily read. Okay, now guys, this basically means we've already taken a printout of this looking the way it should. We formatted it the way that we want it. We're now going to display the formula. It's going to distort this. It's going to make, we need to make these columns wider so we can show the our formulas. So don't worry about that. Okay, we've already taken the printout and we know we've given it and it's correct. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to view my formulas. Now I use a small trick. I use the control and the little squiggly line underneath the escape button. But if you go to formulas, you've also got here show formulas. And we can see straight away here, all my formulas are being chopped off. And that's no good. I'll be losing marks. I need to expand all my columns to make sure my formulas are displayed. So I'm going to select these ones here because these are the ones with formulas. I'm going to double click. And oops, sorry. Let's do that again. Double click there. And now that's expanded so I can see the entire formula. Right? And that's what we want. And we want to make sure these formulas are readable. Okay, so the row and column headings are displayed. So we're going to have to put the row and the column headings. The page orientation is landscape and everything is easily read. Then it says, print your spreadsheet showing the value. Okay, so hang on. Print your spreadsheet showing the formula. Right, so these ones, I can make these a bit smaller. Okay, so try and get everything in here to fit. Okay, like that. So save your spreadsheet, print your spreadsheet showing the formula, make sure that, and that. And all right, so I'm just going to go to print. Just wanted to double make sure I'm showing everything here. Now, again, I can print my sheet now, my active sheet, or I could do the selection. I've already got from before my column headings displayed. And I'm saying here, fit all columns on one page. It's a landscape. And that's fine, and that's taking 2 pages, and that's fantastic. And we can see here all of our formulas are clearly visible, so we would print that. All right, let's go back. So that's that printing. We've done that one. Let's go to number 10. Print your spreadsheet showing the values. Make sure only right. So only cells A1 to D11 are displayed. The row and column headings are not displayed. The page orientation is portrait. It fits on a single page. The contents of all cells are fully visible and can be easily read. So again, we want to show the values this time, not the formula. Up here we were doing the formula, we want the values, and we only want A1 to D11. Okay, let's go back. So I'm going to change this back. So up here in my formulas ribbon, I'm going to click on show formula. So it removes that. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. And I want this area here, A1 to D11. And the row and column headings are not displayed. So I'm just going to go to print, file print. And I'm going to choose my selection because I only want that area there. I want it on portrait. I don't want the column and row heading, so I'm going to go back to my page setup, go to sheet, remove this tick from here, click OK. And the page, it fits on a single page. The contents of all cells are easily. And if I want to make this clearer. I mean, you could zoom that in a little bit, but there's no need. It's fine. But if you wanted to zoom just a little bit more, you could adjust it to, let's say, 115%, and that just makes it a bit bigger. Okay, but you don't have to. I'm just showing you these little tips and tricks because they could be useful in another paper. And that's what we would print. Okay, so here now it says in cell E3, calculate the total rainfall for Chelmsford for January, and in E4, calculate the total rainfall for Chelmsford in February. This is the total rainfall. It's not the count, we want to add them. So we want to count the total amount of rainfall. Create an appropriate chart to compare the average hours of sunshine with the total amount of rainfall for the months of January and February in Chelmsford. Set the month as the category axis. Set the average hours of sunshine as the primary value axis and the rainfall as the secondary value axis. So I'm going to be doing a combo chart here. Set the rainfall axis to have a maximum value of 100 mm. Now, this is what I was saying at the beginning of this tutorial. This is 9 marks just for the chart. And this is part of the new requirements of the syllabus, you being able to do a much more detailed charts, and you need to figure it out. So you really have to have a good understanding of charts. So let's get started with this chart now. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is just understand what I want, what it's asking me to do. So in here, I want the total amount of rainfall for Chelmsford in January, and here the total amount of rainfall for Chelmsford in February. So there's 2 ways I can do this, and from the question, and I'm just going to have a quick look as well. And if you have a look at the question, it doesn't ask you to show any evidence of the calculation that you have done. So however way you want to calculate this and put those numbers there, you can. I'm going to show you 2 ways because, well, that's my job. I'm here to give you all the possibilities and for you to be able to implement techniques that we learned in other papers as well. So the first method, and probably the easiest method to do this, will be simply to click in here, do equals to sum, open brackets, and then I will just add all the numbers for the rainfall in Chelmsford all the way up to where it is for January, and that's up to there. Close the bracket and press enter, and then do the same and calculate all the ones for February. So you'd count the February ones and just go all the way down. So that's one way, but I'm going to show you how you can do this with the sum if as well. Now again, you don't have to do this because you're not required to do this, and you're not asked to show evidence. But for the sake of having a complete tutorial, and that's the purpose of this, let's use the sum if. So I'm going to click in here. I'm going to use equals to sum if. And my range of cells, well, what's going to determine if I'm going to use that range of cells or not is going to be the date. So I'm going to select all of this, including February, all the way to there. And then it wants comma. Now, my criteria is going to be if in this date it contains the word January or Janu or something like that. So if it contains the word January, it will use that row and add the appropriate column. So my criteria here again is going to be speech marks, and I'm going to use a wildcard because it doesn't begin with January. It's got January somewhere in the middle, and then speech marks, so it doesn't have to end with January. If I had January asterisk, then it would have to begin with the word January. If I had asterisk January, it has to end with the word January. But we can see here the word January is in the middle, so I need asterisk January asterisk. I'm going to close the speech marks, and then I'm going to tell it what the sum range is. And the sum range is going to be the rainfall. Okay, and when I close that, it will only add the ones from rainfall in Chelmsford if in this column, in this selection over here, in the blue selection, it has the word January somewhere in the date. So let's press enter, and that's the same value as before. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to copy this, escape, double click in here. I'm going to use exactly the same range, but this time I'm going to change it from January to February. Okay, and then from that same range of cells, it's going to ignore all of these that have got January in there. It's only going to take the ones where it actually finds the word February inside. So about these. Now again, you don't have to use the sum if. You can just do simple sum function and select the range that you want because you don't have to show any evidence. And even if you did, that would be fine. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is to create a chart which is going to compare the sunshine of Chelmsford with the rainfall, the total rainfall. Now, that means these values here, because this here is the average hours of sunshine per month for Chelmsford is this, for January and February, and this is the rainfall. So I'm just going to put here rainfall. I'm not going to change this to sunshine, and you're going to see why in a second. We need to create the chart, which is going to do show January, February, these values here for Chelmsford for sunshine, and these values here for rainfall. So I'm going to show you how to create the chart. Now, at this point, I'm going to put in the description below of this video, I'm going to have you a tutorial which shows you everything that you need to know about creating charts in Excel, because this comes up both in paper 2 and in paper 3. Okay, and later when we're doing the next part, which is the HTML, I've got another tutorial which shows all the new requirements and everything you need for that as well. So very important, watch that video tutorial, but essentially it's everything we're going to do now. So the easiest way to do this for me is I'm going to select all of this here. I always tell my students, make sure this top left corner here is blank. It makes your life so much easier. I explain that in that tutorial. So I've got the top left column blank. I'm going to select everything. Now from here, I'm going to do, so insert, and I'm going to use a chart. I'm just going to choose this very first chart. We're going to change it later on. Okay. Now, this chart here shows me, and the first thing is to be able to identify the different components of a chart. At the bottom, we have the categories, okay? And these are the categories. Now, it said in the question paper that the months should be the category. So I'm going to right-click on the chart. I'm going to go to select data. And from here, I'm going to see what items I want and what I don't want. First of all, over here on the right-hand side, the horizontal, the category axis label, well, I've got the months on the left. I want to bring them over here. So I'm going to click on this switch row and column. So now you can see my chart changed automatically. It's showing January and February as the categories. Next, I only want the values, which were these ones here, the Chelmsford, the sunshine hours, and the rainfall average, the rainfall total. So that I don't want this value here for Marta, and I don't want for Bing Chen. I want these two here. But I don't want it to say Chelmsford. I want the rainfall, but I don't want this. So what I can do is I can select this one, click on edit, and instead of it using this selection here, D2, for that category name, I'm going to delete that series name and, the series name, and I'm going to type here sunshine. Okay. Okay. And you can see now my legend here now says sunshine and rainfall. Okay. Now, if I wanted, I can change this one as well. So if I didn't have anything up here, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you now. So I'm going to click cancel. I'm going to do this again. And if I didn't put the title there, it will look like this. So again, I'm going to go to my insert. I'm going to add a chart, click this one, right click. Let's just move this out the way there. Right click, select data. And I will do the same thing, switch row and column. So it says here the months as a, so now my months are the categories, and the series are a Marta, Bing Chen, Chelmsford, and the blank one. I only want the Chelmsford and the blank one. Now I'm going to click on Chelmsford here. You can see I don't have in my legend here a series name for that orange section. For Chelmsford, it's a gray. I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to call this sunshine. Click OK. And then this one here, which says blank series, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to see edit. And you're going to see now, I'm going to put that as rainfall. Okay. And you can see now I have the series name correctly in my legend. So you don't need to add the series names at the top in your selections. Click OK. Okay, that's the first part there. Let's see what else it says. So create an appropriate chart to compare the average of amount of rainfall months. Set the month as a category axis, which we've done that. There we go. The months are the category axis. Set the average hours of sunshine as a primary value axis and the rainfall as a secondary. Now to do this, I have to change my chart type. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to change chart type. And now I'm going to use from the chart type, I'm going to use the combo. Now, when I choose the combo, we can see we've got the sunshine and the rainfall, and it says one is a clustered column, the other one is a line. Now I want to choose the appropriate ones, which let's say I had this one as a clustered column as well. It looks like that. If I have this as a line, so you want something that's going to be able to compare better. Now, what it does say though is that the rainfall is a secondary axis. So here we've got secondary axis for rainfall. I'm going to add the secondary axis, and here it is here. Now you can see now my clustered chart, because I've got one axis for one series and another axis for another series, it looks different. So I'm going to change this to, let's say, a line chart. So that will be fine. That will be acceptable, because it's kind of easy to compare my sunshine, which is this axis here and that gray line, with the rainfall, which is this axis and that. But I think I'm going to make both of them as a line. And that's probably easier to compare. But the other one would also be correct. Okay, so I've got my secondary axis here, vertical axis, and my primary over here. Okay, so I'm going to click on OK there. Then it says the rainfall average. Okay, set the rainfall axis to have a maximum value of 100. So the rainfall axis is this one here, and it's already 100. But let's say it wasn't. I'm going to click on here so we see this outline, and then you can either right-click Properties or Format Axes, or you can just double-click on it, and it should open up these here. And here is the maximum value. It's already set to 100. So if it's not, change it to 100. If it wanted something else, then that's fine. The minor and major grid lines, again, if you watch the tutorial, you need to know those as well. Watch the tutorial. It's at the bottom of the description, charts. Everything you need to know about it. But for this question, that's all we need. And then it says fully label the chart. Okay, so this is going to be, so I'm just going to call this, let's close that so you can see it better, a comparison of sunshine versus rainfall in Chelsea for January and February. That's good enough. Okay, so we've got a legend. Does it say anything about the legend? No, but I can leave it there because it helps me distinguish the series colors. Otherwise, I won't know what yellow and gray is. Okay, so let's label the axes as well. So I'm going to click on my chart area, click on the plus sign, and here are my axes titles. So I'm going to select that and make sure I've got a title for my secondary vertical. There it is there. So this is going to be for rainfall. And this is in mm, just so we've got the unit. You don't have to, rainfall will be fine. This is the sunshine, and it is hours. I'm just going to put that in brackets, hours. Let's close that. And this is the month. So my category month there, and these are the series. So it's very important you know the different components of the chart, what the series is, what the category is, primary, secondary axes. Again, watch that tutorial at the bottom in the description. Okay, then it says save your chart, place a copy of your chart in your evidence document. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to take a screenshot of that. And that's going to go in my evidence document, which is there. And that's it. We've done that part. Let's jump over to our question paper. And now we go to the web page. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, I'm going to open up Dreamweaver. Now, I do get a lot of comments and a lot of questions. You know, can we use your tutorials if we use front page, or if we just do direct HTML coding? Of course you can, because the coding is exactly the same. But with Dreamweaver, you do get some hints, and it does actually help you out remembering how to put the coding together, especially if you're not a strong HTML coder or CSS coder. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to jump over, and we're going to open up Dreamweaver, and we're going to work from there. So I finished with the Excel. I'm just going to close that. Yeah, why not? Let's save that. Okay, and now we go to Dreamweaver. And we will start from here. Now then, the first thing it says is, while that's loading up, it basically says create a CSS to be added to an external style sheet to meet these specifications. Set the font for H1, H2, H3, and the paragraph styles so that the browser selects and displays the font Calibri. And if this font is not available, the browser selects and displays the font Helvetica Neue. If neither of these are available, then the default sans serif font. Okay, place a copy of the CSS in your evidence document. So we're not adding this CSS code anywhere. We're not going to actually see displayed or used by any kind of web page. We're just creating the code and putting it in the evidence document. So let's jump over to here. So I'm just going to go create a new CSS code, new CSS document from here, create, and from here I can begin. Now, from here, I've always got the CSS designer set up as part of the interface. Now, I've got a tutorial on that if you do use Dreamweaver. But from the designer here, I'm just going to go to selectors. I'm going to add the selector, and I'm just going to choose the first one. So you want something for H1, H2, H3, and paragraph. So I'm just going to put H1, press enter, enter again, and here's my first tag, H1. From here, I'm going to change the properties. So I'm just going to expand this properties area here. And that's just going to put all my properties using the whole height of the screen. And again, make sure if you are using Dreamweaver, remove the tick from here, show set, because these only shows the properties for the tag that you've got selected and which properties you've actually used. You want to see all the properties. There we go. Now then, the next step is I want to change the font. So I want to add font. I'm going to click on text. And I'm going to go to font family. I'm going to click on here. And I'm just going to choose one which has, you know, most of the things that I do want. So it's got like things Calibri, Helvetica Neue. It's got sans serif. So I usually choose one which has the last one. I'm going to choose this one here. So sans serif if it doesn't find anything. And there it is. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to modify these so it has what I want. So the first one it wants, it has to start with Calibri. Now, Calibri doesn't have any spaces, so I can just type the word Calibri. Helvetica Neue, which is the second font it wants, does have a space, and we can see that there. This is why Helvetica Neue is in quotes, in these speech marks. Okay, so if you do have a font which has got the space, you have to put those speech marks there. I don't care about Helvetica or Arial, and that's that. This is the CSS code for H1. Now I want this for H1, 2, 3, and paragraph. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to press comma, H2, comma, H3, comma, P. So this is known as efficient programming techniques. Instead of creating 4 lines of code here or 4 rules, we just choose one and apply all of that rule to all of these heading tags in the paragraph. And because they all have the same thing in common. Okay, so now that's basically it. I just need to take a screenshot of that. It says place a copy of your CSS code in the evidence document. So it says a copy. I'm just going to go with the screenshot. That should be fine. I can just put that there. I'm going to go to my evidence document and just put that down here. And it would be good if you don't have a question. I'm just going to put here, this is for question 12. I didn't put one for the chart, but anyway, you could do that. All right, and now I'm going to jump over to the next part. So question 13 says, create all the head section of a web page to meet these specifications. So I'm going to be modifying HTML code because I need to modify the head section of a web page. And it says the title for that web page should be weather data. And then I've got these meta tags. And I want to add these. Now, again, I've said this before, I'm saying it again. In the description at the bottom, I've got a tutorial solely for these new things that you need to learn. So make sure you watch that. Okay, and it's got here the character encoding. I need this code here. The author name, followed by your name. Set the web page description. The viewport. We want the width of the device being used with an initial scaling of 2. and set 2 appropriate meta tag keywords for use by search engines for this page, and then set the default target window to blank. Okay, let's begin by creating a web page first. So jump over here. I'm going to go to now File, New. Now I'm going to create a HTML document. And we can see I don't need all of this properties area here. I'm just going to reduce that size there. And I'm going to reduce the size here, because I'm not actually creating a web page. I'm only working in the head section. Now the head section is from here to here. Okay, so I'm just going to move that down a bit. And basically the head section inside a HTML document is something which is read by browsers. It is part of the document, but it's not, the information in here is not generally seen by the person viewing the web page. It's seen by the browser itself. Now they can view it if they want to see the source code, but this is information which is seen by the browser and used by the browser. So the first thing we see, as soon as we create the web page in Dreamweaver, and this is fantastic, we can see it's got meta. This is my meta tag. I'm just going to indent that. Character set UTF-8, and in the question paper it wanted this ISO 8859-1. So I could just copy that in, Control C, and I can paste that there. If I wanted to type this out myself, and that's what I'm going to do, using Dreamweaver, you do actually get all of this. So if I open up this, I type meta, I can see I get my meta tag here. And then from here, I'm going to do a space. As soon as I press space, it gives me some hints of what I want to do. Now, you have to know the one that you're going to choose. And for this particular one, I want the character set. And here you've got a whole list of character sets. And you find the one that you want, ISO 88591, 88591, this one here. Now, as I said, and I can close that now. If you couldn't find the set that it says, then you just add anything in here, and then you could just type the set that it tells you. Okay, the next thing it says, set the name of the author to, oh no, actually it says the first one was the title of the web page is where the data. And here again, you can see we've got the title tag here already, and I'm just going to change that within the title and the switch title to where the data. I'm just going to indent that as well. So that is, so we've done, let's get the highlighter here. So we've done that one and and we've also done that one. Let's go to the next one. Set the name of the author to Tawara Web, followed by space, then your name. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Now again, to do this, I'm going to type, open my tag, meta, space. Now I want to add a name. So I'm going to add name. And again, you have to learn these, guys. I mean, this is like 22 marks. This thing that we're doing now, this question 13 is 22 marks. It's the entire, it's half of the paper 3 essentially, well, 1/3 of the paper 3. So you have to learn these codes. It's only a fixed set of codes, so make sure you learn them because you will be asked on this 100%. So I'm going to put the name, and then the name equals, well, I want the name to equal to author, so it's going to say author. And after that, I'm going to press space. It gives me some more tips. And the content, in other words, the name is author and the content is going to be, well, Tawara Web, followed by a space, then your name, so space. That's that one, that's the author. And then I can close my triangle bracket. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we've done this one. Right, set the web page description to weather data for the Tawara region. So this is the description. Okay, let's go back. Again, it's exactly the same as the author, but we just changed what we've got in there. So I'm going to open up here. From here, I'm going to type meta space. Again, I'm going to put name. So that's going to be the name of this meta tag. The name of this meta tag is going to be description this time. And then after that, and the content of this is going to be, so content is going to be whatever it says, weather data for the Tawara region. So weather data for the Tawara region. Make sure you type everything exactly as it's displayed, small letters, capital letters. Let's close that bracket there. So that's that one. Next, we want set the viewport to the width of the device being used with an initial scaling of 2. So there are 2 properties that we want to put here, which is going to be the width, and that width is going to be the device width, and then we want the scaling. So let's go and do that one. So we're going to start again with that meta space. This time we want to put the name again. I'm going to type it out this time, it's just easier. Equals to, and I've got here viewport. Okay, and then from that viewport again, I'm going to put content. So you can see all of these are always going to be, most of them are just a name. You give the name of that meta tag and then the content of that meta tag. And this piece of code you're going to have to remember. So it's going to be the width equals to device width. And then we want the initial scaling of this thing to be initial scale equals to 2.0, and then I can close those speech marks and then that bracket. So this on its own, again, you need to remember these. There's really nothing more that you can do except learn these meta tags, and there's only about 5 of them. So make sure you learn them because there's a lot of marks. In this case, it's 22 marks. So let's go over here. I think it's a little bit unfair, to be honest. This is an ICT examination. There's a lot. This is quite a little bit more in depth in HTML. Okay, set 2 appropriate meta tag keywords for use by search engines for this page. So these keywords are, you know, when people are looking in, let's say, a Google search engine, and you know they type in certain keywords, you can add keywords in the meta tags here, which will allow you your page to be found based on these keywords. So again, it's going to be meta. I'm going to type name equals to, and we're going to use this time keywords. So this is the property that we're using. Oh, I wrote meet instead of meta. That's why those things are popping up. Okay, there you go, meta. Okay, and again, I want content. And then here, I'm just going to put the keywords that I want. So this is to do with the weather station in Tawara. So how about just weather, comma, but now I'm just going to put Tawara. And you only want 2, and you know, if you wanted more. And what keywords? Well, you need to read what the concept is for this paper. What is the story behind it? Remember, it's not like the older papers where everything was clear cut. You need to actually read and understand and be part of this as if you're actually doing this for a company. What is that company about? What are they doing? What is this for? Okay, let's close that. Now, the last thing I think it wants here is we want to set the default target window. Now, we've seen this many times when we're actually doing the HTML coding, we're actually creating a page and we're adding a link, and we put the target property. We put that target property in the link, but this time it's the base target, which goes in the head section. And this basically means when they open another, so if they open another window, another page from a link within this page, it's automatically going to be called _blank. So let's go back. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to open my brackets here. Now I could search for it, but it's going to be, sorry, yep, base. There's my base. Now you can see it actually pops things up as soon as I press space. Target. And if you're using Dreamweaver, this is absolutely, you know, fantastic help, because you make sure you're not going to do any spelling mistakes. Type, and we want _blank. Now, if you wanted any other kind of target window, then you would just type it in the speech marks, and that's it. Now, you have to learn these codes. You don't have 2 ways about this. But even if you can't remember everything and you're not using Dreamweaver, or you can't remember whether you're using name or content or whatever, just do your best, add what you can, because you don't have to get all of this 100% right, and you don't have to get 100% of the syntax correct to get all the marks. For example, if you've got this part here, name equals to viewport, that will definitely be a mark. If you've got this width device, width equals to the device width, that basically means whatever device that person is using is a mobile phone, the width of that screen is the width device. If they're using a laptop, then the width is going to be based on the laptop screen width, and the initial scale is going to be 2 times 2. If they wanted it to be the same size, that would be a 1. 4 times, that would be a 4.0. So, you know, make sure you try and learn these. Again, they're in the description. Let's go see what's in the paper. Okay, so we've done that. It says place a copy of your HTML source in your evidence document. And that's it. That's the entire paper. So a very small paper, and can you see a lot of this is directly focused on. So I would take this now. Actually, let me do escape. Let's bring this up so my head section is close. And I can now take a screenshot of that. Doesn't matter if I take everything, I can, that's not a problem. As long as the open head and close head tags are there. So this is question 13. So as long as that head tag and that head tag is there, and everything, all your meta are there, make sure you display the open and close or the switch head tags, and make sure everything is contained with those within those tags. So again, guys, you can see this particular paper was very, very focused on everything which was incorporated in the new syllabus. A very detailed chart, and everything that they had to throw at you to do with the meta tags, everything was included in this paper. And it was practically the entire paper of the web design. There was no creating a web page. There was no implementing a style sheet to a web page. We had a very basic, you know, couple of marks, you know, 6 marks for that, for this little code up here. This code up here with efficient programming techniques, but nothing that drastic. All right, guys, if you are taking the exam, good luck. Make sure you watch the videos, or go down to the description, go at the end, see the videos that I recommend you watch. And good luck with the examination. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care.